Hi, on this Wednesday reflection, I want to take us back in history a little bit. I think history is extremely important because we have an idea of where we have come from. And that helps to indicate where we are going. And many of you who have grown up in the American Baptist Church, as I have, and some of you who have not grown up in the American Baptist Church, there is a person that we need to become familiar with, and that is Adoniram Judson. Some of you know that name because we order our Sunday school curriculum from Judson Press. Judson Press is our denomination's publisher, but it's so much more than just a name. There's a personality behind it. You may not know this, but the very first modern missionary was William Carey. William Carey came out of England. But the very first American missionary was a man by the name of Adoniram Judson. He left the United States in 1812 to go over to Burma, or to India, to become a missionary. I'm going to read this selection, and I'm going to do this in two parts. You're going to hear a little bit of it this week, a little bit more of the tragic parts of his story next week. And I think it's important for us to hear the good and the bad, the tragic parts of his life, so that we understand what the Apostle Paul meant when he talked about us suffering and dying for our faith. By what measurement do you measure the man? Judson, the measurement always is the same. He was a mighty man. Mentally, he was a mammoth. He read at the age of 3 years, took navigation lessons at 10, studied theology as a child. He entered Providence College, which is now called Brown University in Providence, and then at 17, despite the fact that he spent 1 year of his youth out of school in sickness, he was a veritable bookworm. Also, he mastered the Burmese language, possibly the most difficult language to acquire, excepting Chinese. Writing and speaking it with the familiarity of a native and the elegance of a cultured scholar, he also translated the Bible into Burmese. His biographers believed that his translation was undoubtedly his greatest contribution to the people among whom he chose to spend and to be spent for Christ's sake. Spiritually, he was superlative, despite the fact that his father was a congregational preacher, and in spite of his mother's tears and pleadings, Judson was not saved until he was 20 years of age. He had become a confirmed deist, due largely to the influence of a brilliant unbeliever in college who set out to win Judson to his deistic faith and succeeded. Now, if you don't know what a deist is, it's somebody who believes in God, but does not believe in the Trinity, does not believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. And so he believed in God, but he didn't really believe in a way to salvation. But incredibly, Judson's conversion to Christ was due in large measure to that same deist. After graduation, Judson left home to become a wanderlust. One night in a country inn, his room was adjacent to the room of a dying man. The moaning and groaning of that man through the long night permitted Judson no sleep. His thoughts troubled him. All night questions assailed his soul. Was a dying man prepared to die? Where would he spend eternity? Was he a Christian, calm and strong in the hope of life in heaven? Or was he a sinner shuddering in the dark brink of the lower region? Judson constantly chided himself for even entertaining such thoughts contrary to his philosophy of life beyond the grave, and thought how his brilliant college friend would rebuke him if he learned of these childish worries. But the next morning, when Judson inquired of the proprietor as to the identity of the dead man, he was shocked by the most staggering statement he had ever heard. He was a brilliant young person from Providence College. And then he was told his name. Now he's dead. Now he's lost. This was his friend. This was the one who had told him all about being a deist and had convinced him that that was that was the truth. And now this friend was dead. He was lost. These words raced through his brain, rang in his ears, roared in his soul. Lost, lost, lost. And there and then Judson realized that he too was lost. He ended his traveling, he returned home, he entered Andover Theological Seminary, and soon sought God for the pardon of his soul, was saved, and dedicated his life to the Master's service. His conversion was not only saved his soul, it smashed his dreams of fame and honor for himself. His one pressing purpose became to plan his life to please his Lord. In 1809, the same year he joined the Congregational Church, he became burdened to become a missionary. He found some friends from Williams College with the same burden and often met with them at a haystack on the college grounds to earnestly pray for the salvation of the heathen and petition God to open doors of ministry as missionaries to them. That spot has been marked as the birthplace of missions in America. 3 years later, on February 19, 1812, young Adoniram Judson and his bride of 7 days, Anne Hasseltine Judson, set sail for India, supported by the First American Board of Foreign Missions. But on that voyage, Judson, while doing translation work, saw the teaching of immersion as a mode of baptism in the Bible. Conscientiously and courageously, he cut off his support under the Congregational Board until a Baptist board could be founded to support him. The Judsons were rejected entrants into India to preach the gospel to the Hindus by the East India Company, and after many trying times, frustrations, fears, and failures, they finally found an open door to Rangoon, Burma. I'm going to stop there today, and next week we'll pick up with his ministry to the people of Burma. May God bless you. May God give you strength and encouragement in this day and days going forward. Amen.